I think it's amazing that people want to hopefully get into this idea of mental wellness, right? That's what we all want. And I think diffusion is such a key to that.
Yes.
Because we just get locked in these thoughts and we perseverate and we think it means something and we have to do something in the moment. And oftentimes we do not. And so there's all of these different ways to now knowing that language is so limiting what we do. And so there's a couple of techniques where, again, it's so easy. It's just about labeling your thought as a thought. I'm having a thought that.
I love that.
I'm having a thought that, and remembering that. And I also sometimes have people just write it out. So if you're writing on a piece of paper and you're saying, okay, my thought is, no one will ever love me. How depressing is that thought if you took that as the truth and thought and looked from it instead of at it? But in order to look at the thought, you might have to externalize it. So I say, okay, write it on a piece of paper. Okay, so you write, no one will ever love me. Wow, that looks really horrible on the paper. Okay, now, right in front of it, I'm having a thought that no one will ever love me. And just first of all, look at the physical distance now between you and the thought, because you've added a sentence, so it's actually farther from you already.
Yes.
So there's that physical separation. But also now that you look at it, it's very clearly a mental event. It is not the truth.
No.
You're just having a thought. I can have a thought that the walls are blue, but they're not.
Right.
Right? So that's what you have to liken it to. It's just a thought, and you don't have to even do anything about it. You just say that that's what it is. If you find that you are completely absorbed in this thought and you're kind of running it over and over and it sounds so disastrous, it's really interesting too. Again, a lot of ACT is about changing the quality and the relationship of your interactions with your thoughts rather than changing them itself. So another really silly technique that we use in cognitive diffusion is putting a negative thought to like a funny nursery rhyme, like a tune that's happy, or singing your negative thought to the tune of Happy Birthday.
What?
It changes the context and the relationship of that thought.
You just lost about half of the people watching this. What is it? We're taking a, just keep going. This is interesting. So you take a thought and sing it to a nursery rhyme?
Yeah. Because
Why?
again, because you start laughing and you realize that it's a thought, and if you put it to a tune, now it has a happy connotation. So if you're thinking no one will ever love me, how deep and dark is that thought?
Oh, the darkest.
But then if you're like, no one will ever love me, no one will ever love me, it just changes the quality of that thought. It all of a sudden is associated with something that usually is happy.
Yeah,
And you
juvenile.
just change the context. Exactly. You can do it to anything. Sometimes they'll also have you say the same thing over and over. It's almost like a verbal practice, except that when you say the same word or the same phrase over and over again, like 50 times, it loses its meaning. For example, if you say the word bowl 50 times.
Bowl.
Bowl, 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 bowl. After a while, you don't even know what you're saying anymore. It's like that. So it's almost like taking that thought and just saying, no one ever loved me, no one ever loved me, no one ever loved me.
Then it just sounds like sound.
And it just sounds like sounds. And that's exactly what diffusion tries to do is, again, change the context and change the relationship.